let's talk about ordering positive rational numbers. So what are rational numbers? Rational numbers include your positive and your negative whole numbers, your positive and your negative fractions, positive negative decimals, positive negative percent. So rational numbers are your integers, your whole numbers, your fractions, your decimals, and your percents, positive and negative. So those are all rational numbers. In 6th grade, that's all we work with, are rational numbers. Okay, well, we're only going to focus on positive ones today. So no negative numbers here, just positive rational numbers. To put fractions, decimals, and percents in order, it is easiest to change them all to, and this "the" is in the wrong spot, we're going to put it right there. It is easiest to change them all to the same form. Okay, same form. So changing to percents or decimals is easiest because it's not easy to compare fractions. With fractions, if you want to compare them, you have to get a common denominator and it takes more work. If you change all your numbers to either percents or decimals, it makes it a lot easier. I personally find it easier to change it all to percents. Percents, I think, are even easier to look at than decimals. But that's up to you. If you like comparing decimals more than percents, you can change them all to decimals. But I prefer percents. So that's what I'm going to do in these notes here. Okay, so if I'm trying to compare these, least to greatest, well, it's hard to compare when they're all in different forms. Like we've got fractions, we've got percents, we've got decimals. So change them all to the same form. I'm going to go ahead and change them all to percents. So what is a half as a percent? Well, half is one of those that you're supposed to memorize. Half equals 50%. 75% is already a percent because there's a percent sign. So we're going to keep that the same. 2/3 is another one you're supposed to memorize. 2/3 as a decimal is 0.666666. So as a percent, to change this to a percent, we move the decimal 2 spaces. You draw the butt. Behind the 6 is another 6, right? So the percent would be 66 point, and then there's more 6's after the decimal. So it's 66.6 repeating percent. This is a decimal. To change it to percent, we draw the butt, move the decimal 2 spaces, and it is 8.7%. Here, this is already a percent, 9%. Now that they're all in percents, it's a lot easier to compare them, okay? So now that they're all in percents, we're going from least to greatest. So what is the smallest percentage? The 8.7% is the smallest percentage. So our first answer is 87 thousandths. We always put the original number. So we don't put 8.7% because that wasn't our original number. That's our original number right there. The second smallest percent is the 9%, and the original number is also 9%, so we can keep that. The next smallest percent is the 50%, so we would put half. We don't put 50% because the original number was half. Then, which percentage is smaller? The 66.6 repeating percent is smaller. So then we do 2/3. And then the greatest one is the 75%, and the original number was also 75%. So we're going to keep it like that. So if you change them all to percents, it's a lot easier. Now, you could have changed them all to decimals. For each one of these, the decimal, this one would have been 0.5, this one would have been 0.75, this one would have been 0.6 repeating, this one was already a decimal, and this one would have been 0.09. And so if you prefer to compare the decimals versus the percentages, that's fine. But I personally find the percentages a little easier to compare.